What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like, subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on some recent comments that Chris Broussard made about Victor Wembanyama, right? Basically saying that Victor Wembanyama is, he already is declaring Victor Wembanyama the GOAT, the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? Now, I know that because they're media and this is entertainment that it just comes with the territory, right? So I'm not mad at him about that, right? And I think that actually I think it's good for basketball that the success that Victor Wembanyama is having in the league at an early age, right? Because what it does for basketball, in my opinion, is going to cause all these other teams around the league to, if they want to be able to compete with Victor Wembanyama, they're just going to have to raise the bar, and they're going to have to find ways to be able to beat him, or else he is going to dominate. And I think because of his style of play, you have to get physical with Victor Wembanyama, right? And so in order to get physical with Victor Wembanyama, you're going to have to go back to, or resemble some of those, bring back some of those like old school power forwards that were in the league. And some of those old school centers, like the guys who were not there necessarily to score, but to make the game more physical. The game, because that is the only way I think that you can combat this guy 6'5", and he is finesse. He all finesse. And so how you combat that is you combat that with physical play. And so I think the NBA is going to get back to being more physical, and that's what it is. So it's good for the NBA in my opinion. But with that being said, I want to still listen to or play the audio of what Chris Broussard had to say about Victor Wembanyama and give more comments.
He'd be the only person other than Bill Walton to do what he will have done.
Correct.
Walton led an inexperienced the youngest team ever in the finals to a championship in his first time in the playoffs. That's what Wemby would be doing. Now, some people say, well, Bill Russell won his rookie year. Boston had been in the playoffs 6 straight years before Russell got there. And Bob Cousy was the MVP Russell's rookie year.
Also, by the way, Brew, no one would say that except for maybe me. Like KW's like, nobody's saying that. Nobody's butting you on Bill Russell, but go ahead.
Magic, of course, rookie year, but Kareem was the MVP that year. And Duncan won it in his second year, but David Robinson was still a very good player, maybe toward the end of his prime, of his prime. And so this would be wholly unprecedented outside of Bill Walton. And Walton at that point, obviously injuries hampered his career, but Walton was probably more of a finished product.
Yes.
Because remember, you played college for 4 years at that time, than Wemby. Wemby, I've said it before, is 70% roughly of what he will be. So if they win it this year, and this I think is the worst Spurs team that we'll see, barring injury, for the next 5 years at least. The Wemby era will have officially begun. Now, it's already begun individually. He's going to be the runaway favorite. I think you totally agree with me. Runaway favorite for MVP going into next season.
Yeah.
Individually, he's the face of the league. But from a winning standpoint, it will have begun. And I think teams in the NBA are just going to be at a loss. Like, what are you going to do with him? And Castle and Harper are going to improve as well. He could go, barring injury, on a run. We've only seen 2 guys put the entire league on lockdown, Bill Russell and Michael Jordan. I think he could do that. If they win this year, and he could do it, it could start next year if they don't win it this year. But that is what the league could be facing.
All right, so he's saying that if Wemby wins it all, he's going to go on a run. I like Wemby, but I just don't see it happening. I just see teams get more physical with Wemby and not allowing him to finesse them. And you're already seeing it now, right? Like today's NBA is not as physical as it was back when Kareem played, because Kareem had to go up against a lot of, big power forwards and other great centers. They had some other good centers in the league then, right? So I think that, like I said, this league is going to get more physical because teams are not going to, that competitiveness, they're not going to allow Victor Wembanyama just to dominate like that, right? Especially when they don't have to. Like the talent is out there. You bring in guys who are just more physical. And I think Victor Wembanyama, what will happen though is Victor Wembanyama, if he want to have like the longevity that Kareem had, then he'll have to maybe tailor his game to playing closer to the basket, and that, in my opinion, is what saved Kareem and was not really saved him, but allowed him to have a longer career. Now, Victor Wembanyama dribbling the ball at the top of the key and taking people off the dribble, that's going to have to change, or either he is going to get hurt, he's going to wear himself down because, like I said, the team's just really going to start playing him more physical. And so if he don't want to get hurt and he want to be able to play and think of it right now, like Victor Wembanyama throughout the course of the regular season was averaging like 29 minutes per game. And so if you play him physical, and he's already only playing 29 minutes a game, he can be wore down, and he can be, you can wear Victor Wembanyama down. And so he's going to have to learn how to conserve his energy and play closer to the basket and just be more efficient. That is really, and people not thinking about, number one, he's going to have to be more efficient. Number two, he's going to have to learn how to play closer to the basket. Other than that, he's going to mess around and get injured. He mess around and step on somebody's foot and twist his ankle, or get undercut or something like that. You want him playing closer to the basket, but I do think Victor Wembanyama is good for the NBA because he is going to make everybody else just level up. You're going to, if you want to have a chance to beat him, you're going to have to level up. You're going to have to be more physical. He's on the team too with some guys, and they got a lot of talent on that team. So again, you're going to have to bring some guys in the who just going to play physical basketball with all those guys, not just Victor Wembanyama, the kid Harper. You got to be able to play these guys physically, and that's what the NBA is all about. It's about, it's about physical play. It's about and trying to impose your will on your opponent. But I don't think he's going to go on a run. I really don't. I just don't see Victor Wembanyama going on a run. I see there possibly being like a back and forth between the Spurs and OKC. I think will still be in the thick of things. I think OKC, they know how they can beat Victor Wembanyama, but they just don't have right now the right personnel. So, and remember, OKC got a ton of like draft picks and all that stuff coming up, man. So they're going to really load up, and they're going to come back next year on some, on some vengeance type stuff, and they really going to be ready to go at Victor Wembanyama. So, is the NBA is, in my opinion, is looking up. It's going to be more competitive, but I disagree with Chris Broussard that this guy, even if he's healthy, I don't have them going on a run. I got it being like almost like Boston and LA was back in the day, like those guys just going back and forth. One year is going to be Magic, next year is going to be Bird. Like those guys just going back and forth like that. I don't see like the Victor Wembanyama just being like Michael Jordan, like dominating the league like that. I don't see that, because he only playing 30 minutes a game, and truth be told, he's still kind of fragile. He's still kind of fragile, and he is susceptible to physical play. You can slow him down with physical play, and so I don't see that. I see the NBA adjusting to Victor Wembanyama, and then Victor making an adjustment to their adjustment, and that's good for the NBA. There's going to be a back and forth, but as far as him dominating, going on a run, I don't see it. Now, remember, they already lost game one to New York, and I think the game plan for Victor Wembanyama is to make him work, weigh him down, and play physical with him. And so that is that's the blueprint for how to beat Victor Wembanyama. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.